This is Joe,
Michelle,
Melissa,
and Shannon
with More Than a Sniff, where we talk about everything dog.
from training to nutrition,
from behavior modification to grooming, from vet visits to dog parks.
From getting to know us to having guests. Today we're going to talk about just our dogs and updates and what life is like at our houses with the dogs that we have and what we're doing. So, Shannon, I'm going to let you start and just really kind of talk about each one of your dogs and what role they play in your house, and maybe just one funny, quirky thing about each of them that I think would just be fun to hear about our dogs.
That's so many things to talk about. So everyone knows my dog Louie, my old dog, who is my grumpy couch potato dog that likes to go on 1 hour adventures, except that we started herding, and it's the only thing we've ever done that he likes to stay and do for more than an hour. And then when we get home, he wants to go back. So he really, really likes it. Even if he doesn't do anything, even if he just goes and hangs out and goes home, he still wants to stay more than an hour and still wants to go right back right after. So he's the same, I guess. You know, he's kind of grumpy. But then we got our new dog Ripley around Christmas, who's our sassy terrier mix. And she is kind of likes to eat everything. She abnormally eats things that are not normal for dogs to eat, like the tape dispenser, Mike's shoe, stuff like that on occasion when you're not paying attention to her. She's pretty sassy, and she can hold her own with the big dogs. So she is 12 pounds. Louie is 32 pounds, and then my other dog, Dutch, is 38. So Louie and Dutch weigh almost the same, even though Dutch looks like a much bigger dog. And Ripley is out there. Yep, playing with the big dogs. So then I have my new dog Dutch, which I've had a little over a month now, right? Just barely over a month. That is what would you call it? Herding rejection. She was going to be a herding dog, and she wasn't meeting the owner's expectations, I guess, for what she should be able to do. And so she came to live with me. And she is never lived in a house before that I got her, and is adjusting really well to being a city dog, I guess we'll call it. She has a lot. She, I think, shows her stress in what other people would say is fear behavior, running away, avoiding you, that kind of thing. But it's just a uncertainty of what's going to happen, not a true fear, I'd say. And so we just do a lot of work on everything's normal. This is normal. This is what we do. And I feel like she's accepting it very well and fitting in to the family very well. All the dogs are getting along with each other amazingly, which, considering how grumpy that I feel that my dog Louie is, I think is a triumph in and of itself. But really, I guess I'm learning that he's really not that grumpy, that he's just a normal, happy kind of a dog that just gets a little stressed sometimes, maybe.
So we had some dynamic change of our old man, Bora. We put him to sleep about a month ago. And Chiantis had some life-changing things for her. She's mourned pretty severely, but then she's had some medical stuff going on, and so it's been semi-rough with her. And she actually started yesterday, starting to take control and take charge of the dogs again, which was a little surprising to see with her cone on. But she's really setting some boundaries right now with the dogs that we have in the house, and we have a pretty strong, opinionated shepherd that she has really kind of started taking charge of and kind of putting the squash down on him. And so she's picking up toys again and starting to play again, which you kind of wonder how long they're going to mourn through it, but she's coming through, and we take her a lot more places when we can, when she doesn't have the cone on and dealing with her medical stuff. But she's kind of starting to enjoy things again. Trigger is in heat, and so that's super fun in and of itself, with all the boys thinking that she's cute. And she's not really into it. She doesn't really know what's going on with her. She's getting a little bit more ranchy overall in general. If you start pressuring her and forcing stuff, her hackles come up and she starts pushing back on you a little bit. So it's kind of fun to see her get a little ranchy. Took her up to the barn yesterday. She got on Ginger for the first time. I lifted her up. I was on horseback and lifted her up onto Ginger. And then something went wrong, and Ginger started getting goofy, and I couldn't hold the camera and the dog and the horse. And so I ended up tossing her off the horse, and I mean, she was fine. She was like pretty actually happy to be off the horse at that point. And so I'm pushing her a little bit more into just some fear stuff, with stuff. And then Mick is a border collie who, my goals with him is to trial him and make him a champion. And he just got neutered. So life just kind of sucks around here with all the stuff going on. But our pack is really, overall doing well for the amount of dogs that we've had come through the house, over the last month as well, that they're still ultra responsive. They're not getting stressed out. Hasn't been over the top for them. And they've been kind of a centering piece for me because they've been consistent. And so I don't have to worry about them, and I don't have to worry about what's happening with them. Is they've stayed super consistent for me, which is I've been pretty grateful for, with Chris being out of town a fair amount over the last month or so. And so they've been the easy piece for me. So they're good right now. It's definitely been a shift with the old man being gone, and I think everybody's trying to find their place and what that really means. So, but we're balanced out, and they're just kind of there right now. So, Michelle?
I actually have a question for you. So if anybody's been listening to the podcast more than just this one, this will make sense. But if not, go back and listen to our other podcasts.
Yeah. Right.
So your life has been really, really chaotic recently. Like it's been flipped upside down, sideways, every way that you could possibly think of. You've had a ton of borders and stuff like that. And that just made me think, in our podcast, we probably don't talk about your dogs enough. I feel like I talk about my dogs all the time. Yeah. But we never turn the tables on you and ask questions.
Funny.
You always ask us questions.
Yep.
So if anybody listens to either the changing behaviors, like how you can change behaviors, or our routine podcast, what have you done for your 3 dogs to make sure that they can be, that they're there for you consistently, but how are you there for them consistently, and making sure that they know everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, Michelle, I think that's fascinating because I haven't been able to give that to them. And I think that they have just known that they have to be in this really centering place, that I just can't deal with one more thing. We've had a lot of hard board and trains come through the house lately, and you're just constantly on, and you're really working on dog social skills. And so I think mine, for me to say that I've been there for them, I have not. Probably the only thing that I've been able to give them is head out to Tooele and do some herding. But there's been times that they've all gone out and nobody's done anything because I've had other people's dogs to work out there. So, it's a real honest question or answer is I haven't been there for them at all. I think we're all mourning through the loss of the old man, and Mick isn't going to feel it as much because he is not a house dog. He's kind of not a part of the pack in that way, where he didn't really know Bora. But I think the girls and we just kind of went through this mourning piece that I haven't been there for them. And they've really, they've been there more of just kind of my anchor and been there when I needed. Just what I needed is just don't do anything. So it's a good question.
I mean, I think it just helps a lot of people to realize that sometimes like life happens.
Yeah.
And you just need to take a breath and reevaluate once you can.
Right.
Do you have any advice for anybody that's going through that, or any do you think there's anything you've done in the past, especially for Chianti? I know Trigger's still pretty young too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys are still learning together.
Right.
But do you think there's anything you've done for Chianti as she was younger to be able to help her to help you? I know she's morning Bora too, so this is kind of a harder question than just like, oh, like we destroyed our backyard and we have to fix it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some other big thing that would be happening. But do you feel like there's anything that people could be doing when life is normal to make sure their dogs know that when the chaos happens, it's going to be okay?
Yeah. So I think with Chianti, as far as helping her when she hasn't really had anybody, and I think her biggest role was to make sure that we were all okay. Honestly, I think that's part of her mourning. It's kind of a big job that she's taken on, right? Dogs can't be consistent in chaos, and so they take over. And I think that's really what she has done. And I think at times that it's healthy to let your dogs do what they naturally are going to do without trying to force something on. And so I think for her growing up in life is that, there were times that we just let her take over and let her be in charge, and Chianti's going to be Chianti, and not in a bad way and not bad behaviors, but as much as she's going to have this hyena thing when we go play, or we're going to, and we didn't really worry about that stuff. So I think just giving your dog permission to be a dog is probably what we gave her to help her through this point where she now just kind of switched roles, and she's done some funny things lately that we just chuckle at, where she's laying on the couch now, which she never has, and so now we have barriers all over the couch because she's going to get up there. So I got her a new dog bed, and she's actually laying on the dog bed more, but she goes when Chris is outside, even in the house, it's really funny. She finds Chris's foot and sits on it. And something that Bora would always do is he would always put his front paw on Chris's foot. Like that was his thing. Like he'd come lean against him and his paw was on his foot. And so it was fascinating that she has just found that she's going to sit on his foot. And no matter what, he'll move, he'll scoot, she scoots, and she's like got to sit on his foot. So I think she's really just taking over that role, and we're just giving her permission to do that. So I think things that people can do for their dogs is allow some dog time, acknowledge them for who they are, and give them a chance to show you what they can do and be.
Nice. I like it. Oh, Melissa's got a question.
Just kind of listening, the question that you asked, like, what have you done for your dogs?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to be real deep, because I think you have done a lot for your dogs. And I think giving them permission to be dogs is like exactly what they needed.
Sure.
And that was their constant. And I think also even more is that you're so in tune with them that they know that you appreciate them.
Yeah.
So that gives them the satisfaction. So they know, oh, I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because our dogs know what our emotions are.
Sure.
And so I think you appreciating them was that exactly what they needed, and giving them permission that they're like, oh, in this chaos, we have a purpose. The pack recognizes the purpose.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you have done a lot for them.
I think one thing is that I don't feel guilty about it. What I do feel guilty is, when you don't always have the time to give them what they need, and there's some backlash from it. Trigger is a chewer, and our deck has taken a hit, and some of the wood things around the yard have taken a hit because of her, and that's where I failed her. I mean, it's not anything you just walk out and go, but it's, you just, sometimes you just don't have time, and sometimes you just have to surrender to that, and not feel guilty about it. Like, I don't feel guilty about it, but I know that I haven't been able to give them what normally the time that I would have for them, just because of of everything else. And so I think, coming back to, both of you saying, I think they know that it's just how it is, and that's just me coping, and that they do know that they're loved, and they know that we just now just need to be a dog right now, and don't disrupt the groove. But I think just don't feel guilty about it. Like, I don't feel guilty. They're fine. They get to eat every day, twice a day. They get water. Chianti's on the couch, So I think it's just not feeling guilty when life just gets busy.
I think that's really important. And I really bet you've probably been more consistent than you think you have to with their survival side of things, at
right.
least. The feedings
right.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, I bet there really is a lot of that going on that you don't even realize is going on because your life is so chaotic.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we probably should have ended with Joe because that was really serious, but
no, it's good. Move on.
But we can move on to my dogs, do a little bit more fun stuff. So, if you guys have been listening to this for very long, you guys have definitely heard about my 3. And when we first started this, I was like, I'm going to start with Rambo because he's the oldest and go through it that way. But actually, I'm going to start with Murphy. He's my youngest. He's going to be 7 in August, which is so crazy to think of. But recently, with Shannon and Joe, and Melissa started with us too with herding, that has been a huge change in Murphy's life. He is a herding dog. He's always had that instinct, but we've always squashed that instinct. He's never been allowed to chase anything. So I think that has been the biggest change in our house overall, and that's why I want to start with him, because I think it's reflecting on the other 2 at this point as well, and in the way I'm treating him. Murphy's going to be 7, and in the last probably year, the other 2 have gotten older, and I've started treating him like an old dog.
Yeah,
and it's I think I'm creating that, and he's starting to act like an old dog.
Right.
And since I've stopped doing that, it's been really interesting. The last, I don't know, it is summer too, which I know changes things.
Sure.
We're more active and stuff, but he's been playing again.
Yeah.
Just in the last week, he actually wants to go outside and play fetch. He's not done that. Like, he'll play fetch in the house for 5 minutes. You know, pretty much every night. He's pretty consistent. Like, he'll bring you a toy for a few minutes and then he just goes and lays down. But I think it was Thursday last week, we were doing some yard work, and he played fetch for a half an hour, which has never been his thing. Yeah. He likes fetch, but it's really always just been kind of we're, whatever. Right. So, he's been playing with some of the boarding dogs we've had, which is really interesting. He's always been kind of the fun police, and he goes and stops them from playing, but he's been chasing dogs, which is it's just not like him. He's just doing these weird puppy stuff that he has not done in so long.
Yep.
So, but that I think has reflected on Rambo as well. I've stopped treating Rambo like he's old, because Rambo is 10. And he's almost 10. He'll be 10 in August. That's right. So, both our birthdays are in August. So he'll be 10 in August, and he's been acting different. But I think it's the way I'm treating him. He's definitely been a lot more active and a lot more bubbly, and he'll go outside and hang out with the dogs, and he has not done that in a long time.
Yep.
He's changing a lot. Even the way he looks to me, he looks younger, which is so weird.
Yeah, I have to agree. When he jumped up on the bed,
it's so weird.
Last, it was
when I got back from Jamaica, and Joe had him, or no, Melissa had him. Nope, Joe had him that time. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, we picked him up, and I was like, "You look young." What? Because he is getting gray, but I'm like, "What's going on with you?" He just physically looks younger to me, and it's so weird. He's been a lot. Yeah. I think actually the hard one is Prudence. She's actually kind of going through the opposite stage at this point.
Yep.
She'll be 10 in February, so she's 9.5, and it's catching up to her.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yep.
So, and I think she's almost allowing it. I think she's always been kind of our rock, that she's our comforting dog.
Yep.
And I think with all of this fun stuff going on, she's just kind of I can relax.
Right.
You guys have somebody. It's kind of a weird thing that's going on with them. But then in the last week, we did bring home a dog that we're not sure what's going on there yet. And that's been a lot of fun. And my dogs have accepted it really well. Her name is June. We've had her for almost a week now.
Yeah.
And getting her into the groove of things is kind of fun. She's definitely a lot like Shannon's dog that she just brought home to about a month ago. She's very skittish. Life is really new to her. She's definitely a ranch dog and has never seen city life. And it's kind of, it's fun and it's exciting to think of things through her eyes. And surprisingly, Murphy's accepting her very well, which I'm shocked about. Murphy's never really loved other dogs, but I don't know if that's because of the herding stuff that's going on. Like
Sure.
he's just acting like everything is great and life is more balanced for him at this point because he gets to work that part of his brain and then come home and be a dog.
Right.
Which is really nice. So
Yeah.
that's what's going on in our house right now.
Melissa.
You guys will have to stop me because I can talk about them all day. So I guess I'll start with Cooper. She's our border collie. She just turned 3, and I refuse to accept it because she will always be a puppy to me.
Yep.
She's kind of our fun police. She's very type A border collie. Everything's, we got to look at this. I've got to go inspect. She loves to alert us about random things. So she'll come show us, like she'll come inside and she'll start talking and she does and then we'll follow her out. And so she'll show us random things in the yard. That's her new thing this summer. She's always done that, but she's doing it a lot more now.
I wonder if it's because you've been landscaping
I think
and
so.
changing.
Like,
things,
she wants to show us like, the sprinklers are on right now.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I found this really cool stick that she'll like go and want permission to play with.
Sure.
And she's always doing that. And she always wants a new job. So she's really fun with like tricks and jobs and she loves that. She's more shy with people. She doesn't love going out and about. Nick and I don't either, to be honest, though. So, but we've made a goal to go out more. And we went to our neighborhood had a bluegrass concert, and we brought both the dogs. And I was just so impressed with her, how relaxed she was.
Yeah.
And people, this little kid just came up and grabbed her face, and I was like, oh my goodness! Like, and she was just looking like she looked at us like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But was so super cool with it.
Yep.
So she's a lot of fun. She's my trail running buddy. I'm currently teaching her how to pace with me, keeping me between an 8-minute and an 8:30 mile. Like she kind of gets it.
Yeah.
But now she'll start hurting me back if I go faster.
Oh, okay.
But I need to give her permission to like, no, you can run faster with me.
Yeah.
And then there's Yuki. She's the sister to Trigger. She's just a big old ball of sunshine. Anything we throw at her, she's cool with. Like she can get nervous. And she is kind of going through like a fear thing, like, what's this thing? But whether it's starting to trail run, going camping, or we went to a junior high and I brought her, and that was just so fun to see her being uncomfortable, but pushing through it.
Yep.
So she's fun. And one of my favorite things about her is if Cooper gets too serious, Cooper will go through modes that she just wants everything to be in order. She'll start putting her toys away, or she'll start like going around the house and doing rounds. Yuki will take that as the opportunity to go play tag, or she'll go and like bite Cooper's ankles and run away.
Yeah.
Or start tempting Cooper with toys. And so if Cooper gets too uptight, Yuki will go like, nope,
Nice.
I'm going to redirect this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been super fun, like watching them interact, and they're good. Yuki has started to really like cuddling in the mornings. Cooper is the last to wake up. We have to get her out of bed because she will actively like lay against you.
Yeah.
And if I try to get up, she will press down like, nope. But now Yuki's like, the sleeping in thing is actually really nice.
Right.
I don't have to get up.
Yeah.
So now Nick and they'll go out to the bathroom and then go right back to bed.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Everybody's dream.
yeah, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, those are my 2 gals.
Nice. Do you guys have any other questions for me? No, it's good. It's good. I know I don't talk about my crew much. I'm probably the most private with my 3, and it's kind of always been like that. I clients all the time. When do we get to meet your dogs? When do we get to see your dogs? And I'm pretty private with them, and I've always been that way. And maybe that's the selfish side of me that everybody else shares their dogs with me. That I just keep mine under the covers. I don't know. I've always been that way from the day one of my very first dog. They're mine. And they're gonna be mine. So maybe this next 6 months we'll set a goal of letting everybody see a little bit more of my hooligans.